We're back for another season of the Make Life Work podcast with me, Cy Jobling. Over the past year, I've been speaking to people from around tech about how they try to find a balance with work, life, and any side projects. The previous season, also known as the Home Edition, was a slightly different format, focused mostly on people coping through the COVID-19 lockdown. This season, we're still trying to adjust, so conversation is very likely to continue around the pandemic situation, but we'll also try to share how we all move forward. My first guest of Season 4 is brand designer from the UK, Liz Elcoate. Liz is a fellow podcaster, parent, and enthusiastic creative with plenty to share about her career, her challenges, and community efforts. So let's get into it. How are you doing, Liz?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm all right. It's Friday, which is always good.
I know.
I'm feeling Friday. So, thanks for joining me. And thanks for being the first guest on the Series 4. It's great to have you doing this.
Oh no, I'm setting the standard for the rest of the show. That's a bit of pressure.
The worst part is we're starting with the good, right? No, it's wonderful to have you involved. It's been a bit of a break over the summer, so I'm just keen to get back into it. And as someone who is a podcaster themselves, I think it might help me get back into it a little bit as well.
Oh gosh, I'm very out of practice though. I haven't done a season since the beginning of the year, so I'm feeling a bit like a newbie at all this again as well.
We're just both blowing off the cobwebs and getting back into it. It's good.
Yeah, definitely.
So as I said in the introduction, you're like a brand designer. Does that capture your role as you like to sell yourself? And can you tell the audience a little bit about what that means to you?
Okay, well, I think there's a bit of a discussion at the moment around what sort of the term branding means. And I have a lot of clients who come to me initially thinking that I'm a logo designer or like an identity designer. And what I do more is strategy. Like I do that, but only as a part of the whole project overall. So I'm very much like creating strategy for startups and for businesses that perhaps need a refresh and a rebrand, and how that's going to move forward. And that entails like looking at their values, mission statements, tone of voice, their narrative and everything. So yeah, I don't know, like I think there's I think the term brand is just so misused all the time that it's an interesting conversation. It needs to be looked at, but unfortunately it's ubiquitous everywhere. It's used for so many different things, so I'm not sure it'll be changed that easily. I just have to like explain every time I meet somebody what it is that I do.
You're right. I mean, it's abused, it's misunderstood, and everyone's there's a bit of ambiguity around it, so everyone got their own interpretation. But I think you made a fair point there about it's not just logos, as a lot of people think it is.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit about how you got into this role and what journey you took to get into brand design?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I was a digital designer for like 15 years. I have been for like 15 years, and I was being asked to do... So my role when I worked for an agency before was I was like a senior design exec, which basically entailed overseeing whole projects. So from the sort of like branding identity side through to the digital like website. So it was really big projects, and I got to work with like Great Ormond Street and the NSPCC and some really big clients, which I really enjoyed. And then when I went freelance, I was doing a lot of digital design work to start off with. So, website design. And then like as it moved more into like UI design and stuff, that kind of thing. But I was like also being asked to do a lot of like branding without people really knowing that they were asking for that. So, it would be like, can you create an identity as well? How are we going to talk about this? And how are we going to talk about us? And I then sort of was like, I'm really enjoying this, and it might be an area I want to move into. So I booked some sessions with Paul Boag, just as a mentor, to kind of talk about where I was with my career and where I wanted to go with it. And he was so helpful, and I thoroughly recommend going to see an expert, and not necessarily in the field that you want to go into, but just in running a creative business if you're ever in that situation. And he basically looked through all the work that I did, looked at the work I enjoyed, and was like, I think this would be great area for you to move into. So naively, I was like, oh, that's what I'm going to be now then. But it's taken 2 years to really become a brand designer. It's taken another 2 years to become really confident within that field and really understand what it is that I do. And it was a real tough first 2 years because work just dropped off, which was really scary.
Was that like a mark of your career change, or was it something to do with the industry that it was a bit difficult time?
I think it was a difficult time in that we were sort of going through Brexit and there's big political upheaval as well. And I think people were keeping stuff in-house to a degree. I also think that brand is becoming more and more valued again now. Now it's becoming more and more understood. And I think it was just changing careers, just being a specialist in one thing for such a long time and then becoming like a student again within another thing, because it's so different to UI design. I still did UI design to kind of keep the bills paid and stuff. But, you have to literally remarket yourself. You have to I had so much to learn as well. It's taken me 4 years to learn. I will always be learning because there's so much to learn. I've had some really great designers, like brand designers in my life who have sort of really helped me with that journey, like Naomi Atkinson, who I know she's been a guest on this podcast, I think.
Hopefully coming back this series as well.
Brilliant, yep. Brilliant. Yeah, she's just been amazing. And Chiara Aliotta, who's a Italian designer based out of Greece, who she's just such a lovely person, has been so helpful and kind with her advice. Yeah, so it's been a steep learning curve. The last 2 years it's become my proper business now. It's what I do fully, and I feel super confident, particularly in the last year, going forward with that now. So it has been, if people say like they want to change specialisms, it's not straightforward, it's not easy. And I have a lot of people contact me now going, I just really want to get into brand design. What do I need to do now? And I'm like, prepare for nil money for like 2 years. And like, I can't tell you a shortcut to becoming a brand designer. You have to go and read all the books, make all the mistakes, talk to all the people. And really understand it as a concept, which is quite hard in itself.
Yeah, I mean, we spoke to Rachel Chilcock about her brand evolution in the first series, and she's taken that as an opportunity to understand her brand and use her exercises to build her brand as well. So I feel like you've kind of done that yourself, understanding why, understanding what you want to achieve, and making that part of your brand. But also knowing it's not straightforward at all. No one knows this stuff. There's no silver bullet.
No.
So when someone says, I want to be a digital designer or a brand designer, how do I do it? Good luck. This is...
Where do you start? I mean, I think it was easier, like when I first started years ago, being like getting into web design and stuff. It was CSS and HTML had just become a thing. And so it was so much easier. And now it's like, well, what are the many different roles that you might want to do within digital design? It's just, there's a myriad of different things. Totally. So it's so much more complicated now. And it's the same with brand design. It's just so many different sort of paths within that. It's not just one straightforward role.
You're right. I mean, you've mentioned that you've been on this journey for the last sort of 4 or 5 years. And you've worked with some quite, not specialists, but you've niched into like Great Ormond Street, NSPCC, sort of child health, I guess, in a way.
Oh, well, that was with my previous, that was when I worked for an agency.
Oh, right, okay.
So, that was through my agency work prior to becoming self-employed.
Sure.
So, I worked with but I also like work with the Brits and stuff like that within that role. So, there was a lot of like, we did like some great drama schools within that role as well. Because I think when you've done one, you go on and you tend to then be picked up by other schools and stuff. So we did some really exciting projects. But I tend to now work with a lot of startups and a lot of digital agencies. Like, I don't really know what the word is for them now, but I guess they'd have been development agencies before, but I think now they're probably just called digital agencies. So maybe they've focused a lot on their clients and stuff, but they've never really created a brand for themselves. They might have like knocked up a logo when they first started. So I do tend to work with a lot of clients like that as well. Like, I guess they're software and digital agencies who create amazing products and give brilliant service, but they've never bothered to do it themselves, but they do kind of understand the value of it. So really enjoy working with those companies because they understand the processes already behind it. And yeah, I work with a lot of startups, really.
Are there any specific industries you like working with specifically, or just like to keep your areas broad?
No, to be honest, I a lot of software and digital agencies now, just because of other companies that I've worked with. So they then recommend me to other people. I don't really do any marketing, which is terrible, and I'm not very good at it. I'm not very good at that, pushing myself forward in that way. So most of my clients are word of mouth. In fact, all of my clients are word of mouth. And
Often the best way, though.
Yeah. So really, they tend to come from the same backgrounds a lot. So yeah. With the startups, they can be quite wide-ranging. I've worked with sort of a beauty company, or skincare company, I should say. Beauty company makes it sound far less high-end than it actually is. It's an amazing skincare company. Just, similar kind of companies to that, but also digital startups. So tend to be in the tech world, really.
Something you understand, though, right?
Yeah, I really enjoy it. I really enjoy those people. They're nerds like me, so tend to get on really well.
That's cool. Nice. So what's the plan with a career? Because we talked earlier in the year about you potentially going into other project management sort of roles. Are you still exploring options?
Yeah, that was something I'm still really interested in. I think a lot, I do project management now. That is what every project I do is project management, and that's getting more so with the bigger projects that I take on. So I think I was mildly tempted to go back into the agency life for a while. But I think really recently quite a lot has changed I'm now working as a brand strategist, head of brand strategy for a national company, contracted with them as well as doing my own work. So that's really exciting, really enjoyable. They're just launching a new company within their company. So I'm heading up that, and I head up their kind of marketing direction and stuff. So that's really exciting. And just a lot of really exciting projects have come in this year. So I think now I'm just sort of developing that project management side of things and doing a little bit of training, but keeping that within the work that I do at the moment.
That's good.
Yeah.
It's probably the best way as well, because you're applying it to what you actually know, rather than going, where the hell do I start? Anything. Where do I start? Focus on something you understand.
Yeah, definitely. It would have been a massive change in my career to go and do that. Yeah, I think it would have been quite a challenge for me personally to go back into agency work as well. Whereas now I feel like I'm just being challenged so much with these new roles. It's really exciting and stuff. So I've got a very full life.
Very full. We'll talk a bit more about family life and stuff like that in a moment.
Yeah.
But I completely relate to the whole career change, because I used to be a front-end developer and then transitioned into this sort of leader role, project manager, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
It's not easy, because I had to do both for a while, and you can't do both. You got to pick one or stick with it. Yeah. But I'm getting better now, I think, and I've let go of the professional skills like development design and the project or coordination side and people side. I like what I do now. I spoke to someone earlier about this. I like what I do. I just miss a little bit of the hands-on, hence why I do these side projects.
Absolutely.
So,
and I bet when you do get a chance to do that, sometimes it's so lovely and so enjoyable to do. I'm exactly the same. I don't really code much now, but when I do, I'm just about to for a little project that I'm doing for myself. Oh, it's just so joyful. I really enjoy it.
The satisfaction that you've done that and it works. You're oh, yes, I can see it. And people are using it even better.
Yeah, and I think, I don't know if you find the same, but with me, a lot of my work isn't really tangible now. It's sort of, there's end products, obviously, and there's sort of, end results. But I love, the you put in code and this comes out. That's such a... For someone who's kind of got my kind of mentality, I find that so satisfying.
Get it.
Yeah, because I think, as well with project management, it's sort of, you're managing people, you're managing a lot of different things, aren't you? So
it's more than just things anymore. It's people as well, and emotions and all the other factors you can't even consider as part of a thing.
Yeah, definitely.
It's good though. So let me know if you need any help with that sort of transition, because I'm quite happy to coach. And as you mentioned, Paul Boag and all the other guys that you've been working with, you can get a lot more value from reaching out and asking questions.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I mean, is it something that you generally do yourself? Do you give your skills and knowledge out to others as well? Give it back?
that's quite a difficult question to answer, because I think I used to feel that I should, and that it was part of being a generous and kind person. But people sort of take advantage of that to a degree. And I find now, like I mentioned before, I get people messaging me going, "Hi, how can I be a brand designer? And like, can you give me a shortcut to being a brand designer?" And like, I've worked really hard to find all the knowledge. And my friend is a therapist, like really amazing therapist, and has developed some really sort of particular techniques to what she does. And people do the same to her, and we talk about it. They're like, "I just want to do what you do, so can you just quickly show me how to do that?" And I'm like, "Sorry, no."
People are lazy though, right? You know, I think as a generation thing, I don't know if it's me and being an older man, let's say, I've noticed people that are getting into work professionally now expect so much more up front rather than investing that time. Whereas, well, from my generation, I was like, no, you have to bust a gut to get where you want to be. You know, it's not just a thing that you can pick up.
Absolutely.
And I'm very happy to share what I know, but I have finite amount of time being a family man as well. So I will give what I can, and we could talk about the community stuff that we do later on. But that's how I tend to share my skills and knowledge.
Yeah. I guess I'm probably not very nice in that respect then. I just like...
Really nice, and you realise.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think I'm really happy to coach you. If you want me to coach you, I'll coach you. But I'm just not going to spend an hour and a half writing an email to you to tell you all the things that you should be researching and learning yourself about stuff. And the only way you're going to really learn this stuff is to just do it, take on projects, make mistakes, you know, make your own way of doing things. I've actually stopped asking for help these days, because I got to the point where I was like, I just need to trust my gut instinct and go with what I believe and do it my way. And I think there's a song in there somewhere. And so I now just listen to my gut instinct, because I think as this, I'm not going to turn this into a sexist rant, but I think as men, you're told to trust your gut instincts and to believe in yourselves and believe in your knowledge and stuff. And I think women are often taught to look outside of themselves and find answers from other people. And maybe, will you mentor me? Will you tell me this? Or, you know, I'm not explaining it very well, but I think men are like very good at going, this is my gut instinct, I'm going to go with it. Whereas women are constantly looking for outside reassurance and stuff. And I'm trying to stop doing that as I get older and just go, I know what I'm doing and I can do this the way I want to do it.
Although I hear what you're saying now, and I understand. I think what you're trying to get at is men have a lot more confidence maybe in what they're doing, and they're quite, not bullish, but like, right, I'm doing this, I'm getting on with it. Whereas women are a lot more thoughtful, and they go, well, actually, do I need to consider this, this and this and this and this? And it becomes a lot more effort to do that, whereas a man just goes, no, I'm doing it this way and I'll find out later. But I don't think it's a gender thing, but I think there is a natural inclination between the two. That's what you're trying to get at.
Yeah, but I think that's because men are taught to kind of, you know, push themselves forward and be confident from a young age and be manly and be masculine. And I think there's real problems around that.
I think that be manly is awful, but you're right.
Yeah, be manly, be masculine, you know. Yeah. And I think that leads to real problems as well. And I think women are taught to like, don't push yourself forward, don't be loud, don't be bossy. You know, be the peacemaker, find out everybody's point of view and then find it something that suits everybody. So I think it's a bit of that. And that's kind of our role within families as well. But I do think that, you know, we need to really be grasping the nettle and pushing ourselves forward.
Totally.
And, you know, believing in our own abilities.
Yeah, I agree. And I think doing stuff like this, like you do with your podcast, actually, you know, getting your name out there, getting more women vocally out there as well to get their message across, and really to kind of flatten the playground a little bit so everyone's on the same wavelength. I think we should move on to that topic, actually. So yeah, definitely. You've made a podcast. You've been doing it for about a year or so now. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what motivated that and what you want to do with it as well?
It's very against what I'm not really the sort of person who likes putting themselves out there, and I get asked to speak a lot and I very rarely speak. Very rare. Sometimes I do. But I think it was a conversation I had with Paul, and he was like, yeah, I think you should do a podcast. And I'm like, oh, God, no, I don't think so.
He would say that, though.
Yeah, he was like, just do it and just give it a go, because what have you got to lose? You're in control, which, again, I was like, oh, yeah, that's a really good point. Mm-hmm. So it was just a case of, I want to talk to people about branding. I want to talk to the best people I possibly can about branding, because that's going to, help my knowledge as well. I want to help my clients understand what branding is as well. So it's really just a drive to sort of put more knowledge out there and really explore like all the different factors of branding and how that sort of manifests in different ways, which I've tried to do with the sort of various guests I've had on. So yeah, that was a really driving force. And the first season, when I got that behind me, I was like so happy. I just like, it just felt, it was a big step forward for me personally doing that.
Huge. And it's a great podcast. I've listened to quite a few of the episodes, not all of them, I'll be honest now, but I love the way that people are so open. Gavin Strange's episode was fascinating. I love that guy anyway.
Oh, yeah.
But they've got a great range of guests on there. And I think actually, going back to your point earlier about people asking, how do I get into brand design? You could just point them at the podcast and say, go and listen to these and find out how they do it.
Yeah, definitely. Like, go and listen to these and go and read 10 million books, and read all these articles, but also like make it fit to what you want to do as well, which I think is kind of what I do.
Make it a passion. If you don't enjoy it, it's not really a career, is it? It's just a job.
Yeah, and I think that was it's kind of what I was getting at earlier, really, was like the first couple of years, it was like I was floundering around a bit, trying to like asking people, how do you do it? How do you do it? And really, it's conversations with other women doing the same role as me going, well, this is how I do it, but you do it how you want to do it. And, that was so helpful. And after that, it became much easier and I enjoyed it a lot more. And also I just understood it more. The more you do it, the more you understand it. So it's much easier to talk about it.
Exactly. So back on the podcast, you did the first season. Was that a conscious decision to time box it to a season, or did you just realise I need to cut it for a bit?
Yeah, no. I mean, it was definitely a conscious decision.
Good.
I really would love to do, I was dreaming about this the other day going, I'd love to do one every fortnight. And I look at other podcasts who are so prolific, but there's just no way I can do it. I've just run off my feet as it is already. So it's got to be 12 a year. And for me, that is a real push as well, because I'm just starting to plan second season of this year, and it's already like, oh my God, so much work.
Totally agree. I mean, this one, I committed to doing, I didn't commit to any time boxing at the start, and then I realised, 5 is probably about right for me per season. And then the second one came up, got that in, and then COVID happened. So we'll talk about it in a moment. COVID has just thrown everyone out this year. I've had no downtime, no me time. Yeah. Because I've got the family around, and I've had to work out when is the best time to get back into this, because I need it. It makes me feel good. I enjoy it, and I feel the satisfaction of doing it. But I need to allow everyone else the time, because obviously you're a parent. You need to work out where this fits. So what are you going to try and do then this year? You're going to get back into it, or is it next year?
I'm definitely going to try and get back into it. I've got a really ambitious list of guests this year.
Awesome.
So that's something I really enjoy as well. I'm just amazed with the people that if you ask to come on the show, they come on the show. It's just like, wow, if you ask people, they actually want to do it. It's amazing. That was a big shock for me. My first guest was Mike Kuss, who is like one of the best designers in the world ever. Yeah. So I was like, wow, that was such a result to have him. And like, I've had so many amazing designers like John Hicks and stuff on. Yeah. So, I've got a list of dream people. So I'm just going to go and ask them. And then what happens is they say, yeah. And I go, and I get really scared. And then really petrified, and then we do the recording and it's great. And then I'm like, phew, until I start getting scared over the next one. So it's quite an anxiety-making experience for me.
It's an emotional experience, I agree. I love this part. I love recording the conversations and having them. I stress through the edits and I stress through the release, because that's the bit where I'm like, this can go horribly wrong. But, it's... Yeah, I agree. So you're going to get back into, you got your hot list of guests, and hopefully by the end of this year we'll get something, or is it when it happens?
Yeah, definitely by the end of this year. Okay. Yeah, I've just started doing a degree as well, so that's kind of like on the side. So it's going to have to fit around that. It's going to have to fit around my other role that I do as the head of brand, and it's going to have to fit around stuff. So it'll get done.
You'll get in there. We'll work it out. So tell us about this degree then. That's another one that it's worth covering.
Well, I'm just doing like psychology degree, so it's just something that's always interested me. I think it will really help with work as well, and fascinates me. I'm really fascinated by the human condition, very pretentious, and just learning what makes people tick. So I start that at the end of September. So
Right. So is that a 2-year, 3-year, 4-year? Psychology is a long course normally, isn't it?
that's 3 year, yeah, 3 years. So
Excellent.
yeah, so I just like to really set myself things to do. So
Take on all the things and somehow I'll make it work.
Yeah, I just really like to make it as stressful as possible.
But how do you, I mean, this podcast is all about balance, right? It's trying to find, there's no right or wrong way, but how do you compartmentalize these different sort of roles that you've got in your life? Do you have a way?
Yeah, I don't. I'm really bad at that. No, I'm really, really bad at that. It's something I'm learning to do a lot. And I'm terrible at it. As I was saying to you before we started recording, I had a stressful week last week, and that impacts on every other aspect of my life. If it's work-wise, I don't sleep and I get very anxious and stuff. So I'm pretty bad at it. I always think what I need is spare time, and then when I have it, I don't really know what to do with myself. So I'm someone who needs to really structure their life, very good at planning and planning out stuff and lists, just list. That's the only way I can deal with stuff, and having to give myself a little bit of leeway, because when you're working with other people, they often change their plans and stuff and things. But yeah, just sort of, but I don't compartmentalise. I'm terrible at that. I don't think women are very good at compartmentalising. I think their lives overlap a lot. I think men are quite good at it, but I don't think many people
are good at compartmentalising. I'm not, generally. I'm trying to. And so one of the little tricks I've found, I was using Tick to like plan out my day. Generally, it's like a to-do app. And last year, I mixed work with home life and everything else in there. So there was a lot of overlap. But it allowed me to realise, wow, I've got loads to do today, whatever remit it's in. This year, nope, just personal in Tick. And I'm going to put all my work stuff in a work list so they don't mix, and I can turn one off and turn one on and all that sort of stuff. It's not perfect, but it helps.
I definitely go with that as well. Like I've definitely got like home stuff away from work stuff. I couldn't combine the two. That would be, my brain would explode.
Mind blowing.
Yeah. And I also have to I'm really good at letting myself not giving myself a hard time if I every week I haven't achieved all the stuff I want to achieve. I never will do, because I overset. I'm a perfectionist. I overset my expectations. But I'm really good at recognizing that and going, it's fine. You'll get it done another time.
Good.
You've probably done more than most people, so
it's the best way, man. Exactly. You've got something done. Well done. Especially in COVID mode. Most people have done nothing over the last 6 months.
Exactly.
You mentioned you're mummy, or mom, however you want to say it. How do you find time for that with all these things?
Well, my daughter's grown up now, so she's at uni. So she's away.
Helps.
Yeah, she's away. I've only got one child, so that helps as well. And she's very self-sufficient now. So
ideal.
I find it the transition between her being home. So she's been home loads, obviously, this summer, which I love, and I just want to be mum and just be with her all the time. And work definitely is a pain in the bum when she's home. And then the transition of her going back to uni is quite a hard one for me to sort of get my head around, because I'm suddenly oh, I'm not mum anymore.
What do I do?
Well, I am mum, obviously. I'm always mum, but it's sort of, I have to restructure my days a lot then and get back to it quite quickly, because I can feel really lost for a week or so. So
must be hard to let go though. And being a parent, seeing them. I mean, this week everyone's going back to school, and I think a lot of parents going, "Wow, the house is empty. What do I do with myself now?"
Definitely. I mean, we're really close. I brought her up on my own, and we're super close. So, I don't ever feel like when she goes back to uni, she phones me, we speak every day, probably twice a day and stuff. So,
perfect.
And I go and see her a lot. She's at Sussex Uni, so I go down to Brighton and see her a lot. And I don't know, it's I think as parents, when they're little, you're oh, I dream for the day when they're gone and I have the house to myself. And then when they're gone, you're oh, my purpose in life. Come back.
Exactly. I think we're in that mode at the moment, because my lad's 14 nearly, and we're shall we have another, or shall we just look forward to that quiet time when they are self-sufficient?
I think a lot of people do that around that age. Yeah. My friend, when Jasmine was about 14, my best mate said to me, do not have another baby. He was I know it's tempting. I know you've got all the feelings. But he's don't do it, because you've done a great job. You've got one. You've done a great job. She's wonderful, and it's going to be really starting all over again. And you've forgotten what that was like. I was like, yes, you're right. You're so right.
It's quite nice though. I think we can impart wisdom in our mode now. When people say, "Oh God,
yeah.
I'm a new dad or a new mom," like,
Yeah.
right then, let me tell you what I can tell you now. Enjoy it, because it won't last forever.
Just a huge sense of relief that you're not a new dad or mum. Yeah.
Oh mate, it's good.
I held my neighbour's baby. I held the other day. She came home and I was just taking her past around her house. She was like, "Can you hold the baby? I need to nip to the loo." We all know that situation. And I was like, "With pleasure." So I was like holding her little girl who's like 7 months old, and I was like, "Oh my God, so cute." But also I was like, I couldn't, the responsibility now. Oh my God.
It would be dreadful. We're the similar. Our neighbours had literally just had a baby last month, and I'm seriously broody. I just want to grab and have a good munch.
Yeah.
But then you can go,
that's very cute.
I can pass you back now and go back to my life. Yeah. This is okay. I can cope with this.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. And all my cousins, like, because I had Jasmine when I was super young. So none of my friends had children. None of my family had children. And all my cousins, like my stepsisters, are all having babies now. Yeah. So I've got all these lovely babies in my family, which is so nice.
You can enjoy that.
You can be like super, hands-on auntie or whatever. But
I wanted to say that, Auntie Liz. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to go to sleep now.
It's great. And you can have a lie-in at the weekend as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Lovely. You mentioned earlier about your fitness as well, that you did a lot more when you were younger maybe, but do you not have the time for that now, or you just kind of got out of the mood of it?
Well, I mean, I don't drink, so I think that helps a lot towards fitness.
Well done.
Yeah, thanks.
I can't do that yet.
No, that was a really conscious decision of mine. Like, I've always had quite a low level anxiety, and I think that I've always kind of managed that, like, I'm going to have a glass of wine or 3 or 4 at the end of the day, and it just got to the point where I was like, this isn't great. You shouldn't be doing this. So I kind of quit drinking completely. I'm definitely an all or nothing kind of person. I can't, if I go on a diet, it's like super strict, and like drinking, it was like I can't just have 1 or 2 or 1. Like it has to be a big project for me. So I quit drinking. That's just made a massive difference to my life. I cannot put into words what a massive difference that's made in my life. It's been quite shocking how I've changed as a human being. I wasn't an alcoholic. I didn't drink a lot, but I feel far more intelligent now than I did before. Like, I feel like my cognitive processing is a lot better and so much more confident, so much more capable, so much more in control. It's really
energized. Yeah,
just a massive game change for me. So
that's fun.
Yeah, it's really interesting. So I do kind of like I walk like probably 4 or 5 miles a day because I've got dogs, and that's one of my big like loves, like walking in the countryside.
That sounds great.
Periodically join the gym, go for a few months and then not go.
The classic.
Yeah. And I want to get back into running, but I've got, my calf muscles are like not great from years of riding, and I haven't got a lot of elasticity, so I always end up getting injured whenever I run and stuff. And I ride as well, so
you get out and about then. That's good.
So I do a lot of like general fitness, but I don't like go and pound it in the gym for an hour.
No, I couldn't do that anymore. I just find it a bit
humiliating.
Yeah, it's horrible. It's like a vanity environment anyway. I don't appreciate that. I do it for my own well-being, if anything. I went through a bout of running. Absolutely.
If I do anything like that now, I'm like, I do it for my mental health, not for my physical health, really, because I think I'm a pretty healthy person, so I haven't got any like major problems.
Yeah, that's good. You mentioned going out for walks with the dogs. Actually, it's a seamless plug this into your community that you co-founded. Can you tell us a bit about is it AgRespect that you call it?
Yeah, AgRespect. Oh, my one true love.
There we go.
So I founded it with a best friend of mine and another friend of mine. So Matthew Naylor, who's a kind of big player within like the agricultural community. And he and another friend called Ben Firth, who's a farmer, and we've grown up in rural communities. We're all like either children of farmers or we live in the country or whatever. And like I've seen, it's been such a struggle for. They are both gay men, and it's been a struggle sort of for them at times within that community. Not so much Ben; he's younger, but definitely for Matthew. And And I think we just felt like there needed to be an open conversation within the kind of rural communities and agriculture and farming around that, because there's still a lot of assumptions made, a lot of bigotry. It's still quite a closed off community as the farming. So
I can imagine.
Yeah, we founded that like 2 years ago, and it just went crazy immediately.
Really?
And it took us all by surprise. Yeah, we were like, so before we knew it, we were like meeting Michael Gove, and the department, like DEFRA, were signing the pledge that we made. Because they basically made a pledge that companies could sign that were in the agricultural sector that said that they, support LGBTQ plus people, that they, actively seek diversity within their companies and stuff. So then I had to take a step back from it for a year just because of work and other things going on. And then I've kind of fully back into it in the last year, and we're just now about to kind of do a big brand exercise, which guess who'll be heading that up?
I wonder who. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's just grown. It just exploded. It was just unbelievable how many gay people were in the community, how many, bi, trans people just felt that they couldn't speak out. And I think it's created a safe space for those people now. And it's just basically about going, what's it going to become now? Because when we first started it, we thought it might like reach a few people, but it's gone crazy. We feel like we really need to have like a real distinct purpose behind us and tone of voice and stuff now. So, and I think off the back of that, we'll end up being a podcast.
Ooh, good work.
Which I probably won't be heading that up. Matthew probably will, but I'll probably be editing that. And sort of, getting out. We've done Pride, we did Brighton Pride and had a big Massey Ferguson tractor with like the rainbow flag painted all over it, called Sassy Ferguson, it was called. So yeah, just getting into more Pride events, getting into all those agricultural, rural shows, having stands there where people can come and we've had like people just say, you made it possible for me to come out, and my parents were cool about it, and I never thought they would be.
That must make you feel so good, though. I mean, you don't do it for that reason, but to kind of hear that story back. Yeah,
it's really good. It's difficult. Well, it's not difficult for me. I'm always really aware that I'm not a gay person.
Yeah.
I'm a heterosexual person, so I'm always trying to be really mindful of my privilege and like how the world is slightly different for me as a straight, like, white woman to some of the people that we deal with and stuff. So it's a really good learning curve for me, and sort of understanding what other people go through and what their sexuality means to them and stuff.
Again, back into your career, understanding people, understanding what they think, what they actually mean, it's all kind of interlinked for you by the sound of it.
And also, like, I think understanding, like, the bigotry that is still there, definitely, I mean, like, all bigotry, most bigotry comes from a place of fear and not understanding and otherness, and kind of really understanding that, and people being really frightened of change, and they see, like, people who are comfortable with their sexuality as maybe a change from, traditional values and stuff. Yeah. So it's kind of just understanding that, and trying to be sympathetic even to people who have really, views that you find abhorrent. So
yeah, it's a very I know it's a very sensitive, difficult subject to broach, but I'm glad you're doing it, because it needs to be approached.
Thank you. Yeah, definitely. But also, I mean, we all recognise our privilege in that we're growing up in rural communities. Most of the people are middle class. They're from farming backgrounds. They're white. They're male. They can walk down the street safely.
It sounds like you're talking about my village. I feel I am in that bucket, and I hate it because I don't want to be associated with it. But unfortunately, I am.
I think we all feel the same. I think a lot of younger people within those communities feel like that as well. So it's just about, recognising. I mean, we sit and have meetings. We had one the other night, and within that, we had to sit there and go, oh God, we're making assumptions based on our, privilege and stuff. And that's absolutely not going to be the case for someone who's from this background, that background. So we have to constantly check ourselves all the time, which is really good.
It's good. And you've got the opportunity to bounce off each other as well and get up. The others will reflect and go, yo, you're not, by the way. We need someone else to give us a bit of reality check.
Yeah, and I think actually being a woman in that scenario as well, even though I'm not a gay woman, but just being a woman is good for like tampering out the testosterone that ends up appearing in the room and stuff when we have meetings. But they're so good at recognizing that within themselves, both of the other co-founders as well. And we have like a lot of amazing people who support us and help us make decisions and stuff. So yeah, wow. It's really great.
I look forward to seeing that podcast come out. I'll be another one for my subscriber list.
Yeah, I think, God knows when that'll be. That'll be next year sometime. We've got so many massive things going on. I've got another business to launch in my other work. So yeah, I don't know when that'll happen, but it will do at some point.
Plenty on your books, and you need to be aware of your time, even though you've got a little bit more flexibility with a daughter at uni.
Yeah.
On that, I think we're close to the end of our time, unfortunately, and I could be here all day with you, quite frankly. There's lots of stuff we could go through.
Yeah, same.
I think we'll have to do another one, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, definitely. That would be great. Yeah.
Been an absolute pleasure to have you on. Before we go, how do people get a hold of you? What's your favourite channels?
Well, I'm not on Twitter that much anymore, as you probably realise by my tardy replies in DMs. But I'm on Twitter at Liz_E, the pretty terrible Twitter.
It's short.
There.
It's good.
Sure, everyone moans about it normally, like, why have you got an underscore? And then that's basically where I am. I don't do Facebook.
Good.
Instagram is just photographs of the countryside and dogs, so I wouldn't ever send people that way. It's pretty repetitive. And just on my website, elizabethelcoate.com.
Cool. And we'll put links in the show notes so people can find it as well.
Yeah.
But more importantly, the podcast and the communities, by the sound of it. Let's get them.
Yeah, so the community is at AgRespect, which is just AG Respect.
Nice.
And agrespect.com is the website. My podcast is The Elastic Brand.com.
Yep.
I'm really out of touch with the names of all of these things. And I think on Twitter, I think it's at Elastic Brand Pod.
It's so hard to get these, though.
I know, I'm really terrible at that kind of thing. So
it's fine.
And we do have an Instagram page for the podcast, which I post on not very regularly, but that's on my list of to-do things. So
backlog. Yeah,
and I think that's probably Elastic Brand Pod or something as well. But if you just search the Elastic Brand podcast, then we come up. Because we love a pun. I
love your pun, and it's easy to find yours, actually. Mine is really hard to find because there's other things that are very similar. So, don't worry, I'll get in the show notes for you as well.
Thank you.
So, thanks for coming on, and hope to do it again soon, actually. So I like to recap if it's possible.
Thanks so much. I've really enjoyed it.
Thanks to Liz for joining me on this episode, and for everyone who has listened along. As Liz mentioned, you can find her on Twitter and Instagram, plus her main website, elizabethelcoate.com, for all her contact details, clients and projects. We're also available on all the socials as Make Life Work Pod. Plus, we have a brand new website available over at makelifeworkpodcast.com. You can find all the podcast archives, show notes, and subscription details for iTunes, Spotify and YouTube. Plus, we'd also love to hear your thoughts of the show so far. Send us an email, hello@makelifeworkpodcast.com, or reach out on the socials. And if you like, we'll send you back a sticker as a thank you. That's all from me. Tune in next time when I talk to another friend from around tech about how they balance work, life and side projects on the Make Life Work podcast.